Howdy, Patriots. Segment 219. Titling this one Children Are the Future of This Country. I'm doing a twofer today. Got some extra time. So, for the parents out there that think you're a good parent, a great parent, and your kids or young adults turned out good, my hat's off to you. In today's society, as you will agree, it's difficult to raise kids. And what I'm going to be talking about is not taking down parents. Um, it's strictly generalizing what society or how society has failed them and continue to fail them to this day. You know, we have, what's the count now? Give or take a million. We got 67 million babies that have had their lives taken. Yeah, there's been some lawsuits here and there, and we have a march once a year, but that's primarily it. No mass protests outside of the clinics that do them or the Planned Parenthood facilities. People are scared to be arrested. Um, Law enforcement is stopping peaceable assembly provided to us by the Constitution, and so they just continue to murder them on a daily basis. The disgusting part, the real disgusting part, are people my age, the boomers, that when our troops came back from Vietnam, they spit on them and they harassed our veterans and called them baby killers, and yet most of them to this day don't have a problem with babies' body parts being ripped from the womb, or after being born set aside like a piece of trash to eventually die on their own. That disgusts me to no end. I just want to slap those people. Um, yeah. Child trafficking. I did a video on this a long time ago. In that video, I point out that some children, if you're not aware, they're actually being rented out by their parents to the traffickers. As disgusting as that sounds, that is a fact. Children coming across that have come across the border illegally, a lot of them, hundreds of thousands of them, without parents, and being used and abused in hideous ways during their journey and after. Once they get here, who knows what the hell's happening to them after they get here. This is child trafficking is the number one worldwide pandemic, and it technically it's not even on the radar. I mean, how are these? I sit and I wonder sometimes, how are these assholes getting a hold of so many kids, other than the fact that the parents are handing them over. I think if we could find out that question, answer that question, that might help a lot in stopping this. Then we have safety in our schools. Sure, there's cameras in the schools, not all schools. That school after how many mass shootings, the schools are finally going into lockdown. But I'm sure it's not all schools. Our politicians from D.C. to city council levels, are they doing anything about it? No, they're not doing a damn thing. I again did another video on it. I don't see why we can't hire vets to patrol the schools, keep the children safe. Have a couple vets per school, depending on the size of the school. I'm sure a lot of veterans would step up to the plate to protect the kids. School board meetings, even regardless of this, school board meetings should be packed everywhere, demanding that these board members do something to protect the children, among other things, but primarily to protect the children. Um, Yeah, I see videos of school board meetings out there with angry parents. But I mean, is it happening across the country? I can tell you in my area, it's not. It's not. People aren't going to the school board meetings the way they should be. Safety in our neighborhoods. Used to be, back in the day, children could play in their backyards and on the streets, primarily around cul-de-sacs. Um, in the bigger cities now, of course, that's not happening. Even in some of your smaller towns, you don't know who you've got living there. Hell, we've got we've got kids sitting in their homes watching TV, laying in bed, who are getting shot. Bullets flying through the house, hitting the kids. Shouldn't be happening. Invasion of our borders. Did a video on this one too. The Customs Border Patrol, as far as I'm concerned, should have never allowed the amount of illegals to come across the border that they did. Yes, I know. I know. They were doing what they were told. Yes, I know. They wanted to keep their job. Got that. Pointed it out in the video. Well, I hope they can sleep good at night knowing that people that they allowed into the country have been and still are raping, beating our children, abusing elderly people. I hope they can sleep well. And I would probably have a difficult time knowing that I may have allowed somebody in that's harming American citizens. And politicians are just to blame. Screw the politicians, both on the right and the left. They're just as responsible. Um, their hands are bloody as well. I mean, children these days, they can they really be children? I think they're expected to grow up faster because both in some cases both parents are working. Um, they come home from school and they're unattended until the parents get home from work. And it doesn't help when we're introducing them to this technology of cell phones and iPads. When we don't have time for them, we just sit them down in front of an iPad to watch a movie or do whatever they do. I mean, I've seen young young children that shouldn't have a cell phone, much less they're out there posting TikTok videos. Um, just doesn't seem right to me. Um, Discipline, lack of discipline in the family. Again, I'm not targeting the parents. There's a lot of children out there can just do whatever they want and are allowed to get away with it. I mean, how many of you have gone shopping lately only to run into somebody whose child is pretty much out of control? I mean, if they're not screaming in the cart, um, they're running around the cart, running up and down the aisles. Um, I mean, this lack of discipline in the long run, that's not good for the kids. It really is not good for the kids. I mean, no, you don't want to beat them to death if they do something wrong. Um, I always told ours, you know, act up and we're just going to go sit out in the vehicle. I'm just going to take you away from the element that you're in and we'll just sit in the car and wait till you calm down or we'll just leave. Law enforcement these days, many, not all, have forgotten the oath that they took. Sorry, they have. Allowing riots to go on, breaking that oath. See it happening in mini Somalia. I understand in some cases, some cities, the mayors and the governors are stretching them thin. They want to defund the police. I got that. I'm talking about the ones primarily that allow mayors to tell them to stand down, to tell them not to go into certain neighborhoods because It's not worth going into the neighborhoods. There's nothing we can do for them. Just let them um, kill themselves off, and yeah, just stay out of it. Not cleaning up the crime. Period. I just I don't see enough of that. Uh, I could be wrong, but I'm taking mini Somalia as a prime example and utilizing that for what is happening across the country because I'm sure it is happening. Daycares sure would be nice that we didn't have to take them to these places. Some are good, granted. Some are good. Most are bad. Their intentions, they're company based. I'm not talking primarily about the mom and pop private ones having them in their homes, even though there are issues in some of those as well. I'm primarily talking about the corporation ones, the corporate ones. Um, they're they're only concerned about how many kids they can take in at one time and how much money they can make off of the kids that they take in. I mean, mini Somalia, you had all the Somalians with daycare centers. Fortunately, there was no kids in their daycare centers, but at the same time, you know what happened there. They were raping the city and the state of funding. Um, Daycare centers to me, I mean, if you drop a kid off at a daycare center, before you do that, check them out good. Check them out good. I know we took our kids to one time. Actually, it was the very first time that we took them. Walked in there and I saw one of the attendants throwing kids against the wall. They were lining up to go to the bathroom, and one of the attendants threw one against the wall, and I said, nope, nope, no way in hell is this going to happen. So we walked out the door, and our kids never entered a daycare center again after that. Um, yeah. Alphabet cult. Yay, the alphabet cult. We turned our heads to this group. They wanted an inch, and we gave them a mile. First, they wanted same-sex marriage, and we're like, no, no, this shit ain't happening. And they harped about it, and they cried about it, and they screamed about it, and they sued people about it. And we said, okay, fine. We're tired of hearing your bitch and piss and moaning and complaining. Go ahead and do it. We don't care as long as it doesn't affect us. Um, now, now we're at the point that they want to confuse our children as to what gender they are, and in the same process, try to convince them to have a sex change or take pills, some drugs, to stop their normal gender growth. And in some cases, they want to and are doing this behind parents' backs. And our schools, in some cases, I mean, if it's just one school, that's too much. And in some cases, schools and laws are allowing it to happen. Disgusting. Doctors conducting abortions and sex changes under certain circumstances, of course, and again, doing it without parent consent. These aren't doctors. These aren't doctors, and they took an oath and as well, and they forgot that oath because it's about the money. Gotta have the money. Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, doesn't matter to me. We'll pull the body parts out of your womb. We'll take a youngster and cut their genitals off. Doesn't matter. I get paid. I get paid for doing this. I don't care. A lot of doctors have lost their morals. A lot of them are sick, and they should be taken down. Vaccines. Used to be, we took vaccines when we were growing up for measles, mumps, rubella, and that was primarily it. Now you're supposed to give them dozens, literally dozens of vaccines when they're younger. And here again, our schools are telling the parents, hey, if you want your kid to come to this school, they're gonna have to take all these shots. No, it should be up to the parents to decide which vaccines they're going to be giving to their children. Um, those dozens could probably turn out to be one or two. With all the poison that's running around out there, our kids don't need to be taking all these vaccines. But our schools don't care. Our school board members don't care. Our principals don't care. Our superintendents don't care. The teachers probably care somewhat or don't care about it regardless. Either way. Yeah. Lawyers and judges. Lawyers and activist judges doing whatever they can do to help criminals these days. Whether it's curbing their sentences, not giving them one at all. You've got the no cash bail. They're allowing criminals back onto the streets by the hundreds to go ahead and do more than likely what they got put in jail for in the first place. Well, not put in jail, but what they got apprehended for in the first place. And that was beating, raping women and children, the elderly, anybody. And these judges and lawyers are letting them go. It makes no sense. What kind of a person does that? A murderer or a rapist, or let's say a rapist shows up, someone that severely beat somebody shows up to be incarcerated, and the judge sits there and says, reads the documents, reads the indictment, reads the arrest. They see that the individual's got an arrest record a mile long, and the judge sits there and says, yeah, $500 bail, or no bail, or yeah, go ahead, go out there and do what you've been doing. That's okay. Needs to happen to these judges and lawyers. They need to be targeted. And I'd almost bet shit would turn around very quickly. Very quickly. Then let's not forget our politicians. In some form or fashion, the bills our politicians pass, if they pass any, affect the country, the state, the county, the city as a whole, and they don't care about the future of those areas or the children that these bills can affect or will affect in the future. They're self-centered pieces of dung that introduce or pass bills based on kickbacks, agenda-based items, or do it for their own personal gain. These are the bad bills, of course, I'm talking about. Usually the good bills, the real good bills, never get through, never get passed. Again, they're doing this for a special project or a favor to a big donor or to a group. It's very rare out there. I think it's very rare out there to have a politician that will pass a bill or introduce one that has the public interest at heart. There are some. I'm not saying that there isn't. But if you get a chance, you're listening to the bills that come across at the Fed level. Take note of some of the ones that are happening at your state level. Take note of the ones that are the ordinances that are being passed, or the funding that's being wasted at your county and city levels. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at some of these bills. First of all, where they come up with them, where they come up with them, and why they're passing them. I'm sure. There's other examples. I'm sure I left some out, some of the things out, but if this gets you thinking about them, I'm sure you can come up with more examples on your own of what's happening to society out there and what's happening to our children. Um, in some respects, I I don't blame the young adults that are getting married now and the ones that don't want to have children. Many people aren't having them. The population is decreasing. Who wants to bring them up in a society like we have today? I, I, I myself would have to seriously think about it. I really would. With the school situations that we have now, I don't know. I don't blame them one bit. I don't know if it's just me, or you have the same sentiments as I do. It just feels like our children, for the most part, are put off to the side now and are becoming third class citizens. It is. It's said. Um, it is our responsibility from generation to generation to pass on a better country for them. And I'm shamefully, I have to say I'm not seeing it. With everything that's going on, I'm not seeing it. I think we're letting them down. I think we've let them down. Um, Unless, of course, something dramatic changes to take place, or some dramatic changes take place to turn this around. There's some good out there, but it could be better. Um, I hope we can do it. I hope we've got a little bit of time left. I hope our generations, this generation, my generation, can make it better for the future generations. That's all I got, Patriots. Have a good one. If you see this sign, this is the international sign of distress. I try to remind everybody about this in all my videos. If you see somebody doing this, they're asking you to help them. They're in big trouble. If you can safely assist them, do it. You may end up saving a life. That's all I got, Patriots. Have a good day.